Earlier, before the Fed FOMC had begun, you and I were talking and we were expecting this 25 basis point cut. Perhaps what we didn't factor in was that only 2 cuts expected next year. And with that commentary coming in, the US markets have taken a massive beating yesterday with the indices and the top stocks all down. Is this going to impact the Indian stock markets and going forward the Indian economy?
Thank you, Karthik, and morning to all of you all. So I guess last night's rate cut or last evening's rate cut, like we discussed earlier, was more or less in line with what large section of the market expected of 0.25 basis cut. What the market did not expect was the statement of only 2 rate cuts, depending upon how data has come up in the coming months. This was, I think, 4 rate cuts earlier this year when Mr. Powell made a statement that 2025 could see 4 rate cuts, but now it is down to 2. And I think this will also be monitored, especially in the month of Jan, that is next month, 2025, when President-elect assumes his Oval Office. And the policies that he has spoken about, tax cuts and tariff hikes, I think this will
The
definitely
tariff hikes. You're right, Gaurang. I think, that is something that, and reciprocal tariffs is what Trump is talking about. What is this really going to do to India and Indian trade with US?
I think we'll have to wait and watch. Let Mr. Trump assume his Oval Office, and let's see what he does in terms of tax cuts and tariff hikes. Well, if he has to do what he has said earlier before the election and during the campaign, then I think a lot of people will have to recalculate their mathematics in terms of where we are likely to be, especially Mr. Powell, because I think this will lead to inflation push. And if inflation moves up, I think there is very little room for the Fed to cut rates. So we'll have to wait and watch. For India and rest of the world, I think it will be a balancing act as to what is going to be the quantum. So I think making a preemptive judgment is going to be very, very difficult. I think we'll have to possibly take everything as it comes in our stride.
Okay, but having seen one term of US President Donald Trump 4 years ago and now he's going to be back in office, there could be some broader understanding of his policy stance towards India and China. When he got elected, the mood was a little high that Trump is anti-China, but he's going to be pro-India. Do you see, in your opinion, Gaurang, this narrative now shifting a little bit?
Well, I think, political leaders across the world say a lot of things before the election and post-election, if they happen to win, once they assume the office, a lot what they've said earlier possibly goes into the deep freeze. So it remains to be seen, and it's going to be very difficult for US to just go and hike tariff across nations, including India, China, Canada, and maybe the rest of the world, because they are also largely dependent on a lot of things which come into their country from the other countries. So, it's going to be difficult whether he shifts the stand or whether he's going to shift the goalpost. I think only time will tell. But yes, he has spoken about reciprocal tax the way India does on US. US is going to do on India. Again, I would say the same thing. Let's wait and watch.